Hey everyone, my name's Sarah Lavonne and welcome back to my YouTube channel. One of the most common concerns and questions that I get regularly is the question, when is it too late to get an epidural? And so I am going to answer that question today for you. But before I get started, make sure you subscribe down below. You can follow me over on Instagram. Make sure you check out the description box for all sorts of other fun things. And then let's get going. This video is for those of you that are interested in or know that you want an epidural, but are concerned that you might wait too long, especially if it's your second baby, especially if maybe you live far from the hospital and you want to make sure that you get to the hospital with enough time to get your epidural. So the answer to the question, how long can you wait to get an epidural, the quick answer is, and then I'm going to explain a little bit more because that's how I roll, okay, is so long as the baby is not falling out of you, you in theory can get an epidural. So long as you can hold still for the epidural. So what does this look like? You come to the hospital, say you're 9-10 centimeters, you're feeling pushy, you can't control your push, and you're like, this baby's coming, right? In order to get an epidural, you actually have to sit up. They have to call in the anesthesiologist. You have to have an IV placed. They may have to get some labs back from the lab, which can take some time. And then the actual epidural procedure takes anywhere from 5 to 10, well, I'm gonna say less than 5, 1 to 10 minutes, and then to get comfortable takes about 20 minutes after that. Flex and flow on times, but in general, you're looking at from the moment to hospital to comfort with epidural being a minimum of about an hour, okay? If you are going to have your baby in that hour, and or you can't control but have your baby within that hour, it is too late for an epidural, all right? So sort of in order to have time, you may also be 10 centimeters dilated when you arrive to the hospital, but not feeling pushy and feeling like you can sit up. And you have to be able to sit on your vagina, not literally, but with a baby potentially very close to the outside of your vagina for the entirety of the procedure. So if you can't sit up, if you can't hold still and you're flailing around, then they're likely not going to be able to place an epidural. So when you're considering, is it too late? At what point do I go? When I arrive, is it going to be too late by the time I get there? All of these different components are going to play into that. Can you hold still? Can you sit up for it? And have you been admitted long enough to have all of the pieces come together so that the anesthesiologist can be in the room and place the epidural? Now, a few things to pay attention to when you're also trying to time your epidural or figure out, do you have enough time? There is such a thing as hospital policy. Okay, and this is something to ask ahead of time with your doctor. If you do a tour of your hospital or even sometimes online, you can find it. Some hospitals have this policy, and I would ask to see it because this is not the case everywhere, that once you hit a certain number of centimeters, that you no longer are a candidate for an epidural. So if you're 10 centimeters, they will not place one. Here's where there's some flex and flow here, okay? Because I've worked at 2 different hospitals, one of which did have a little bit of a hard stop on the epidural. The other one, as long as you could sit up for it and hold still, they would place it. You could be pushing for hours and they would pause, place an epidural if you wanted it, and then go back to pushing after that, which I think is the way that it should be. That's my personal opinion. And so I can think back to my other hospital where there was a little bit of a hard stop, that in certain circumstances, if the patient pushed back or if the patient was like, no, I'm not pushing, I want an epidural first, they understood everything, that they would still do it so long as you could hold still for it, okay? So that's gonna be sort of hospital dependent. Great question for your provider or your hospital tour. The other thing to keep in mind, especially depending on where you're at in the world, is there an anesthesiologist in the hospital already? Or are they having to call someone from home to bring in to do your epidural? That may delay things as well. And this is where, like, if you're waiting and waiting and waiting and the baby is right there, I can think of one particular birth, which actually I told her birth story on my Instagram, so find that post over there. Super cute couple. She had fully planned on having an epidural the entire time, went into labor, it went very quickly. They were trying to get her IV, they were calling the anesthesiologist, and next thing you knew, she was pushing. And I had the quick conversation with her where I said, look, I can see the baby's head. It's gonna take a while for you to get comfortable. And by a while, I think I was said something like, 30, 40 minutes for you to be comfortable, but you could have the baby in like 5 to 10. And she looked at me and was like, do you think I can do it? And I was like, yeah, I think you can do it. Like 100%. It's not going to get much worse. It's just stretching now. And sure enough, she pushed the baby out. She did not have an epidural and she did awesome. And so that's the other piece that like you sort of have to think about how long it takes. And in general, my quick answer, and this is very much location specific, is for you to get comfortable, you're looking at a minimum of 20 minutes once it's placed. And the placement may take 1 minute. So we're looking at 20, but it may take longer. It may take a second to get anesthesia there, kind of the stuff I talked about in the beginning. All considerations. If you can push that baby out in 5 minutes, just push the baby out. It's not gonna get much more intense from there. And sometimes you get an epidural right at the end and it's another 2-3 hours before you have the baby, because then you're comfortable, you don't feel the urge to push, you're sleeping, you're resting, you're gearing up for it, we're letting the baby labor down, and then you eventually start pushing. Your pushing sensations are also different, which may delay pushing, and actually there is studies that show that pushing with an epidural takes about 30 minutes longer than without. So all those factors are things to think about when you're considering getting a late epidural. So when is the last point to get an epidural? It's entirely up to you and your care team. Plan ahead to hopefully be there at least an hour ahead of time before you know you'll want your epidural, or as you're starting to get to a place where you're coping, but you're like, I'm getting closer to the point where I'm gonna be asking for pain medication, or I'm really wanting my epidural, so that you have a little bit of margin in there to not feel so rushed towards the end, or you're not even really faced with the decision, should I just push this baby out or should I wait and try the epidural? Ultimately though, you have the right to pain medication. If you want something, your care team needs to be able to do their best to help accommodate that, given that they have the resources, the anesthesiologist, and the staffing to make that happen for you. Thanks everyone for being with me here today. If you want more from me, you know the spiel. Head on over to bundlebirth.com. I have classes, all sorts of other fun things over there. Make sure you check that out. Make sure you check out the description box down below for some other fun links and things. And then make sure you subscribe down below, give it a like, share it with a friend. Follow me over on Instagram for more fun things going on. And then until next time, don't forget to flex and flow, and I will see you soon. Bye. My Cloud Japanese shoes that I love so much.
Oh, they're not the Yeezys or whatever.
They're like $27 shoes. But do they look like Yeezys? What was that? My nose is so dry. That looks so cheesy.
Try it. See. Well, that looks cheesy because you're being cheesy with it. Stop looking at the TV.
I have to look at there to see if I look fat. If I look double chinny. This is such a good color on me. I cannot even handle it.
Now do something with your hands when you do that. No, you always do that.
Well, there's only so many things you can do with your hands.
Like this.
When is it too late to get an epidural?
I say it's never too late. I'm getting one later.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I just
for
don't
you.
want to feel my legs. I just want to.
Or your vagina?
Yeah, my urethra hole.
Oh, okay. Your urethra hole.
So maybe
She could kick you in the balls.
Maybe I could say a bunch of mean stuff for like 4 hours and I just let her kick me in the balls.
As a result of all of that, you would not have balls left. Hey everyone, my name's Sarah. My name's Sarah Lavonne. I don't wear enough brown. I'm gonna go on a brown binge. Buy all the brown. All right, this is a fast one. This is probably like a 6-minute video.
Shut up. I'll bet you $1 it's not.
$1?
That's not going to be 6 minutes. You've never done a 6-minute video in the entirety of me helping you with these videos.
Mission on. I am a rambler, let me tell you. I talk way too much. I need to just rein it in.